continue rolling the interview with Desmond Ball. So I think we answered number 8, so I think we can skip that. Because I asked you, do you think racism has gotten worse or better? And
hasn't gotten better fast enough. That's basically my short answer, is that even if it's gotten better, let's focus on the problems that actually exist today. The fact that it got better a long time ago doesn't help people now, right? People have to live in this situation that they have now. And if people are experiencing racism right now, that should be our focus, not that it used to be worse a long time ago somewhere else.
Okay, let's continue with what plays more of an important role for young black men today? Is it race or class? And how does that affect Cardigan in a whole?
Yeah, this is a good question. I don't ever think you can separate race and class from one another. You have to look at them at the same time, and this is again another one of those things that we get taught by media, is that media are always telling us that we can only have one answer to something. It has to be either race or class. No, it's both. So class means, for example, that you might not have enough money to live where you and I are sitting right now, which is downtown Toronto. You might only be able, and your family might only be able to afford an apartment or a house in Scarborough or North York or parts of Etobicoke, right? But that also has something to do with the fact that white people still earn on average the most income in Canada, and then a lot of different other racial groups are all falling lower, and black people are very close, I'm sorry to say, to the bottom, meaning that they have fewer economic opportunities to do something like get a job that will allow them to live down here. So, it's not an accident to me that white people earn the highest average income in Canada and that black people earn close to the lowest. Racism is a factor in what kind of job opportunities that you have, whether or not your guidance counselor tells you you could be an engineer or that you should just, try to get a job straight out of high school.
Yeah, I've seen that.
You have had that happen.
I understand. I told that I wouldn't be nothing, because I went through some experiences where I got jumped at school and it was all Asians. One Somali guy was with them. He got charged though, because he's Somali. I got charged, and everyone's going to hear this too when you listen to the class. I got charged myself. The case went on for a year. It got dropped because we were both friends, and it was just a misunderstanding. He just got pumped up for everyone else over some stupid argument over the weekend for a basketball game. So I'm like, whatever. So that happened, and I left the school, and they told me, oh, you never be anything. They brought me back into that Toronto District School, high school in East End. I went back there, and then they basically held back my courses, gave me lower grade courses, and told me I won't be anything, I won't do anything, and then I just fell off track for a good 2.5 years.
I'm really sorry that happened to you, Jamal, and I'm also sorry to say that that's not the first black person that I've heard tell me a story like that. And what I can say is that sometimes people will say, oh, but look at you, you're doing really well now, you're in school, you're doing this project, it's amazing, right? But not everybody responds to those situations in the same way. Sometimes, you could have gotten even charged, and then it wouldn't matter how you respond to the situation because now you have a criminal record, right? Exactly. So, I think I'm very sorry to hear that story. I'm happy you're doing okay, but we have to recognize that when those things disproportionately happen to a group of people, it makes their chances of success a lot lower.
Exactly. Okay, so final question for you is: successful young black lady, what message do you have for other young black males in their journey to success, dealing with racism, classism, and barriers, just from your own perspective in your own shoes, to basically how do you get to where you get to, and what kept you going?
Well, the support of my family and my friends is definitely something that keeps me going, and it's important. It's important when you're doing any kind of work that is very emotional like this. This is not about a job for me. I'm a journalist, but I don't talk about these issues because it's my job. I talk about them because they affect me personally. And whenever you do that out there really publicly, it can be very emotional. So you need support, right? That's the first thing I would say to people. The second thing, though, is that our country needs to have more people who will speak openly and honestly about race. And you will be confronted all the time by people who say, you talk about race too much, you make everything about race. Don't let those people define who you are. I still have people telling me that. I also got on the cover of one of the biggest magazines in the city for talking my experience and being real about it.
That was Toronto Life.
That's Toronto Life. So I would say to people, don't allow the dominant structure out there to define who you are. You have to be who you want to be. You have to say the things that are true to your experience and that are true in your heart, and find people that else you can surround yourself with who can support that work and who can help you in your journey, because I'm not alone. There are a lot of wonderful people out there who are supporting me in talking about racism, talking about police carding, talking about how we can make things better. You know, it's not just me out there alone by myself.
Exactly.
So you need to have a community of people around you, and hopefully then your friends, other people in your community, they might understand more. They might see like, oh, here's why he talks about this so much. Here's why this is so important to him. Sometimes people don't understand at the beginning, but you know, that shouldn't stop people from being true to their beliefs and their values.
Thank you. And do you have any last comments or anything to say for anyone listening that maybe a fact or something that they don't know about racism or carding in Toronto for the viewers? Because there's probably individuals out there that may not.
Here's one that I always find interesting that your listeners can chew on. Back a few years ago, and this is again from the police's statistics on carding. They're not my statistics. They're the police's own statistics as analyzed by the Toronto Star.
And everyone can find that online, by the way?
Yes, Google it. Known to police. Google known to police. Back a few years ago, the Star looked at just 15 to 24-year-old black men. Okay? There were more 15 to 24-year-old black men stopped and carded about, I think the year was about 2008. There were more 15 to 24-year-old black men stopped and carded that year than there are 15 to 24-year-old black men in the city of Toronto. Meaning that people were getting stopped more than one time. Multiple, over and over and over and over again. I don't know why you need to stop a 15-year-old kid who's just going home, who's just going to school, right? But they're doing it to all of us. They're not doing it, to answer your question from before about this notion of thugs. Every single 15 to 24-year-old black man in Toronto doesn't need to be treated like a thug, but that's what's happening. And that's why this practice needs to be challenged and it has to be changed.
Thank you, Desmond. It was a privilege and an honor to hold this interview with you. I believe a lot of youth out there will listen to this and actually learn some important facts on the real issues, because it's just sad how I read comments on when Baltimore was happening, and feminists even posted, and people from other groups were saying racism needs everyone needs to stop crying about it. Feminism is just like, I'm not here to portray this video to say that racism is more important than any other social issue. What I'm trying to say is that racism is one of the oldest social issues that needs to be abolished, as well as the other ones. Because unfortunately, for feminists and for everyone else out there, they may have a long, sad history of struggles of trying to just be equal in society. And just as with racism, we need this to stop before it continues to be a bigger history book.
And I think we need to work together when people talk about homophobia, transphobia, when they talk about misogyny against women. All of us are in the same boat together. We don't need to compete with each other.
Exactly. We need to come together. That's the message. Thank you again, once again, ladies and gentlemen. Desmond Cole.
Thanks, Jamal.
Thank you very much.